Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Mic Drop Mondays. We have today's date, January the 25th, 2026, and we're going to have an interview with candidate for Region 3 business agent, Brother Ronnie Morgan, and I'm going to let Sarah and Renee conduct that interview, and I think they got some questions from some of the members here in Region 3. And we hope that that's going to be a springboard to be able to bring on some other candidates. If you're running for a business agent, we're only going to allow people in that region to ask you questions of any potential candidate, and we'll take on any candidate that wants to come on the show and talk. I just figured that they could be more honest and have a better conversation without me than with me. So you'll see, I'm sure Sarah and Renee will, hit them with the good questions, the tough questions, and we'll see how the brother does. Anyway, so that's the show today. I want to give you guys a little weekend review. There's been a lot going on. Some of the things people are talking about. I just want to make some comments before we get to the show. So on January the 15th, a letter dated January the 15th, I think we were notified sometime later, but there is a letter that was addressed to our Executive Vice President, Paul Barner, from the Postal Service, Jim Lloyd, Director of Contract Administration for the Postal Service. He focuses on the NALC for the Postal Service. So anyway, because it says NALC in his title, but it's a USPS labor relations rep. Anyway, he sent Paul a letter and he said that the above referenced grievance, seeking payments beyond those provided for in Article 17.4 was referred to me for a review of a possible interpretive issue. And then the next sentence is, the Postal Service has determined that a national interpretive issue does exist. And therefore, the above referenced grievance and any similar grievances and or grievances seeking similar remedies should be held pending the outcome of the national dispute. And that last part, we don't really know yet how that's going to play out. The language seeking payments beyond those provided for in Article 17.4, and Article 17.4 is just payments to stewards. We don't know exactly what that entails and what grievances are going to be held by either side pending the outcome of that dispute. But more likely than not, the Postal Service will want to hold particular grievances because what they're attempting to do is stop grievances from going forward that have additional remedies. And they already had a federal court case where they tried to argue that punitive remedies, additional compensatory remedies outside of make-whole remedies, they argued that those were not legally allowed, and the federal judge shot them down on that. That's not the case. They've lost that issue on a number of occasions, and so what exactly are they referring to when they say payments beyond those provided for in Article 17.4? We don't know exactly, but whatever grievance they think that issue has been identified, they will put that grievance on hold pending the outcome of this grievance, which comes out of Seattle, Washington. From everything we've heard from the people that have seen this grievance, it is a huge case file. It is a basic non-compliance grievance. It's one of those grievances where the post office was supposed to pay particular carriers an hour of overtime or something that they owed them. And then they didn't do it, and they had time frames, and then there's other grievances, and this thing snowballed out of this one station, Bitter Lake Station in Seattle, Washington. And from what I understand, it's just one big non-compliance grievance that the Postal Service does not want to go forward with, does not want to adhere to the settlements that they agreed to. And, we've seen this, and we saw a lot of this in the OIG report on noncompliance that came out recently, where, they end up having to pay these huge remedies because they don't do what either they're supposed to do or what they agreed to do or whatever. And in this case, there was remedies of a certain amount of dollars per day until such time as you comply with the terms of a settlement, which usually, let's say you owe a carrier $100. I don't know the specifics in these grievances or in this grievance, but you owe a carrier a certain amount of money, and every day that you don't pay the carrier the money, there's a per day remedy that the parties agree to because the Postal Service is taking too long to pay the person, and then they still don't pay the person, and or the people or whatever, or the steward or the union or whoever the parties themselves determine is owed the money. And so now for the post office to come back and dispute remedies that they themselves agreed to is, in my opinion, pretty disingenuous, and it's just a reflection of the broken grievance process. And of course, they don't want to fix the grievance process, because a good grievance process means that we, the union, are able to get our issues resolved in a timely manner. And for them, that's not a priority and that's not a goal. And it's just a further reflection of the broken system. We have a backlog of grievances at almost all the levels, 43,000 grievances pending at Step B, many thousands of grievances pending arbitration. And now the Postal Service is starting to put grievances on hold that they don't want to have to arbitrate, or they don't want to have to live with the results of an arbitration or a final and binding decision on that particular grievance. So that's the update on that interpretive issue that the post office declared payments beyond those provided for in Article 17.4. All right, I want to talk some about what's going on in Minneapolis, and I think it does affect us as letter carriers. The AFL-CIO, which is the umbrella group for all of the unions, put out a press release dated yesterday, January 24th, 2026, where a Minneapolis union member was killed by ICE agents, and reiterate their call for ICE to leave Minnesota. And they can leave the whole damn country and close up shop for based on what I feel about it. AFL-CIO President Liz Schuler issued the following statement on the killing of Alex Jeffrey Pretti, a member of the American Federation of Government Employees, AFGE, in Minneapolis. The AFL-CIO mourns the senseless killing of another Minneapolis resident by federal agents. Alex Jeffrey Pretti was a VA intensive care unit nurse and a member of AFGE Local 3669, a brother in our union family. Our thoughts are with Alex's loved ones, his union siblings, and the people of Minneapolis at this devastating time. As tens of thousands of Minnesotians made clear peacefully and powerfully yesterday, they're referring to the marches, sick out, not sick out, but don't go to school, don't go to work, don't do any shopping, that occurred in Minneapolis on January 23rd. That occurred yesterday. The Trump administration's horrific operation and their actions aimed at stoking violence and chaos must end. America's unions join the call for ICE to immediately leave Minnesota before anyone else is hurt or killed. We demand local authorities conduct a full, transparent investigation that will lead to accountability for this tragic and violent act, and for Congress to use its power to hold ICE accountable. And you guys know my opinion about ICE, and I get that a lot of our members have different opinions, but the fact of the matter is ICE is not law enforcement. The tactics that they use are there's no legal warrants. They have no right to detain and arrest certain people that they think, based on appearance, based on profiling, skin color, whatever, the job that they're doing, that person may not be legally in the country, and they're taking illegal actions to detain these people and not giving them their proper due process rights. And we as letter carriers, we're in every community in America, and we stand with our fellow union brothers and sisters against this type of actions, these killings. There's now 2 in Minneapolis. And we stand with the people of Minneapolis who came out in by the tens and the thousands on Friday, where it was 20 below out there. And of course, we weren't on strike or nothing. But I'm sure not everyone was able to make it to work, and I'm sure some letter carriers found their way into that march. And of course, it was so cold, you had to bundle up, and you're not going to be able to identify who was there and who wasn't. There was so many people there anyway. And congratulations to Minneapolis, not congratulations, but kudos, I guess would be the term, to Minneapolis Branch 9, and I don't know other branches in the vicinity if they're helping out with this, but they've been mobilizing the members and getting involved in the actions in Minneapolis, along with the AFL-CIO. And, we as working people in this country, I think, have to have principal positions, and those principal positions are, the constitutional rights that we all have, the rights of working people to go to work without fear. A lot of our members are worried, because I know when ICE was here in Chicago, a lot of our people are worried. And I saw there was one of the police chiefs came up there and had a press conference out there in Minnesota, and talked about, hey, when our members are off duty, they're not in uniform. If they're Latino or whatever, or Somalian, they're subject to this same arrest, detention, whatever, these ICE agents want to do to people without any legal, standing to take the actions they want. And, these are our brothers, these are our sisters, these are our members. It could be you, it could be me, that are subject to this type of thing. And so, no, we don't want ICE in our staging, in our parking lots. We don't want any affiliation whatsoever with what the ICE agents are doing. We're not a part of that. We're there to serve the community. We're not there to terrorize, intimidate, and abduct members of our community. So anyway, I hope that everyone can, no matter what your opinions are and your political persuasions are, I hope you stand with the people of Minneapolis against, now a second killing, and against this type of intrusion into our neighborhoods. All right, I think that's all I'll say on that subject. I don't want to get myself in any more trouble, I guess. All right, so it's been cold, and very cold. I talked about -20 in Minneapolis. It was very cold here on Friday, the 23rd, in Chicago, and a lot of places around the country, and some places even got a lot of snow. And as you guys know, there's places in the country that are not used to getting a lot of snow, and they did. And so, like, how do you handle that? And so I pulled up the NALC activist from the fall of 2015. Nice publication. We've reintroduced this publication. It was on hiatus for a few years, but a nice publication with some good information in it. And it talks about Act of God grievances. Now, this is volume 28, number 3, from the fall of 2015, the NALC activist. And it talks about where there may be administrative leave. And administrative leave under the ELM, Employee Labor Relations Manual, Section 519, is paid leave in certain circumstances, like not annual leave, not sick leave, but additional paid leave that you may be entitled to. And is administrative leave under the ELM Section 519.1 is defined as an absence from duty authorized by appropriate postal officials without charge to annual or sick leave and without loss of pay. So there are circumstances where, nobody can get to work, or the operations are called off, or it's just they call it act of God. The conditions out there don't allow for travel to get to and from work and for us to perform our duties out there in the communities. And so there's a definition under the ELM section 519.211. Acts of God involve community disasters such as fire, flood, or storms. The disaster situation must be general rather than personal in nature. And I got to flip to page 10 here, so give me 1 second. Personal in scope and impact, it must prevent groups of employees from working or reporting to work. And don't get confused by that last sentence. So if you're working on a grievance on that, so the carriers would request the admin leave if they're not able to make it to work. Invariably, the admin leave is going to be denied, and you're going to file a grievance. You're going to say, no, I think we're entitled to the admin leave, and we're going to have to prove that the act of God prevented groups of employees from working or reporting to work. And you, of course, are going to pull up the weather reports. Of course, you're going to pull up if there was a disaster, a state of emergency declared, things like that. News reports, things like that. Those have to go in the file. But also, don't forget to get the statements from the carriers that were unable to report to work, because if there's almost always like one or two people that make it to work, and the question in those grievances is always like, okay, if this person can make it, why couldn't this other person? And so, what was the circumstance for the group of people that were not able to make it to work? Was the circumstance there was too much snow and the roads were blocked, and so maybe not all the roads were blocked? And you say, for the people that lived over here, let's say outside of town, for the 90% of the employees that lived outside of town, they were not able to make it into work. For the 10% that lived in the town, they were okay. They could get around. And so is that the circumstance? What is the circumstance that prevented large groups of employees from reporting to work if you're going to pursue this grievance on act of God under the ELM 519? So anyway, there's a lot to read on that. There's been a lot reported. I recommend that NALC activist from the fall of 2015, but there may be other stuff out there, and if people have stuff, I'm sure they'll share it with you guys if you're going to be pursuing those grievances. And then last but definitely not least, I want to talk about an episode of Parcels of Knowledge. My man Joshua Shrum, the Roseville Wrecking Ball. He put out an episode. I'm trying to see what number was this episode. I don't have it no more. Where did it go? Oh, here it goes. Episode number 70. I need you to help call for a congressional inquiry. And so he gives you a template, a document that he wants us all to use. And it's real easy. It's one of them form-filled type situations. You'll send it to your member of Congress, and it says, Dear Representative, in my case, Chuy Garcia is my representative, 4th Congressional District. I think it's the 4th. I don't know. It's Chuy in Illinois. Writing to you today as one of your constituents and as a dedicated city letter carrier serving our community. Then it goes on to say, under U.S. Code Section 101, the Postal Service is legally obligated to provide prompt, reliable, and efficient services to patrons in all areas, and to provide a maximum degree of effective and regular postal services in rural areas, communities, and small towns where post offices are not self-sustaining. Currently, this universal service obligation is being systematically ignored. Goes on to talk about how declining mail standards, the standards that the Postal Service once had are not there, and it talks about delay of mail and mail not being delivered. This has included all classes of mail, 1st through 3rd class, and in some cases, even political mail. It's going to be different in every circumstance, and you guys can talk about the particular circumstances in your post office, but a ton of places, as I've been talking about, are not delivering the mail due to staffing or due to they don't want to pay. And either one is, illegal. The Postal Service has that mandate, and so they're the ones that need to figure out and make sure that all of the mail gets delivered. 6-day mail delivery is in the law in the Postal Reform Act of 2022. And we want to try to get Congress to get some oversight over the Postal Service where they're not fulfilling their obligations. And like I say, sometimes it's just because they don't want to pay the money. They'll cut the carriers off. You'll see these MDD messages cutting the carriers off after 10 hours, after 12 hours, or wherever. It's just some artificial number so they don't have to pay that extra level of pay, be it time and a half, double time and a half, or whatever. And so that situation is what we're dealing with out there. Also, some of the staffing issues, no matter what they do, they just can't get all the mail delivered. And it's not okay. The law requires them to deliver mail 6 days a week. And we want some oversight from our congressional representatives. I want them to come to the post office and look at the mail that's being delayed. But if you're having delayed mail caused by postal management, Brother Shrum has, if you go to the show notes for episode 70, Parcels of Knowledge podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you can pull that up and you can see the template, and you can go ahead and send off a letter from you or from the collective of carriers, or however you want to do it. But I think that's a good thing, and hopefully we can get a little more traction if we get Congress involved. So, all right, you heard enough from me. On to the show. Everyone be safe out there. I'll see you guys next week.
So we are joined by Ronnie Morgan.
Morning. Good morning, Sarah. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I know you've introduced yourself on Mic Drop Monday before, but let's go ahead and do it again.
Okay. All right. Yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Ronnie Morgan. I am a letter carrier from Lincolnwood Edgebrook Post Office in Chicago, northern edge of the city. 25 years. Actually, they presented me with my 25-year service pin from the post office on yesterday when I wasn't there because I was at a president's meeting down in Lisle. But 25 years in the post office and 13 of those years as a grievance handler, as a union officer, working on behalf of the members of Branch 11 and Region 3.
Nice. Thank you. Okay. So before I ask you some of the questions that some of the members of Region 3 have submitted, I actually want to ask you about your opinion of contract negotiations, because I heard that there was a little bit of a discussion about it yesterday at the president's meeting.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, right now we know coming out of headquarters, there's a plan to mobilize everyone on February 22nd to kind of kick off, because a few days after that, they'll be entering into the first round of collective bargaining. And, you know, we're coming in a time when there's a lot of unrest, and you know, there's a lot of people unhappy with the way contract negotiations went last time. So this organized out of headquarters, there was a little bit of a debate on whether or not we should do it. But I think in the end, there was a consensus in the room that the rallies are a good thing, that we still have the public support. And this is a good way to also mobilize the membership and just kind of, you know, share right off the beginning with the Postal Service that we're not playing around. We're fighting for a better contract. We deserve a better contract.
All right. Was there any information you actually wanted to share about your platform yet?
Oh yeah, I mean, so I have a website. It's under construction. The website is ronnieforregion3.com, RONNY, the number 4. And so when you land there, it's going to tell you it's under construction, but I'll have that as kind of like a communication hub for people to ask me questions, or just kind of, share information as I develop more things. I've gotten a couple of invitations to go to branch events across the state that I am really grateful to get, and I will definitely take advantage to do that. So if anyone wanted to invite me out, come have a conversation, to meet me. I feel like I've been building relationships since I started. I worked directly under Mike when he was the vice president at Branch 11. He'd been my mentor, still my mentor. Soon after I became an officer, he left to run the region. And even from that role in the business agent's office, he's been mentoring me and giving me plenty of opportunity to train and to be trained at the highest level. So and that's a great opportunity for me to learn, for me to meet new people, to meet like-minded people, and build those relationships. So I've been kind of doing that. I mean, I want to say that I'm nowhere near a politician. The first, well, I've had smaller campaigns, of course, for like union steward, and we just had elections in my branch last year, and so I first time elected as the vice president. First I was appointed, but now I've been elected. So I really just campaign by doing my job, showing up every day, being there, being accessible to the members, answering their questions. I've still been working on grievances since the beginning. That's where my passion really is. Grievance handling, especially formal step A. That's why I have the privilege of training formal A representatives through this region. In this region, every year we do that. This year we're doing it the last week of February, and so yeah, I get a chance to do that. And of course, I still present cases at arbitration. I had one. The last one I did was in January. I have some scheduled in February and in March. Going to be doing the LMOU impasses for my branch, and I think we had the most in the region. So I got some training on that. That was really awesome because LMOU impasses is not like regular arbitration. It's like the Wild West, and I think I'm going to enjoy that. I have fun at arbitration. And I don't go in there kind of stiff, and I'm very professional, but personable. I try to have the energy that I present in any format with grievances, and the arbitrators start to recognize that personality. And so I think that helps in some way, because then I'm not nervous, and it's a very critical step. So you got to be serious, but being nervous doesn't always help. So I try to do things to break the ice, and I think that works in my favor. So, but yeah, that's what I am. I'm not a politician. I'm a grievance handler and a letter carrier, and I'm very proud of that. Been called to do this, I believe, and I've got a background in criminal justice and law enforcement from when I was in the military. So, kind of been a natural fit. Didn't know I wanted to do it until I started doing it, and now I love it. So.
All right. Okay, I can start on some of the questions we have then. Okay, so I know from a previous Mic Drop Monday episode, you said you went through the Carrier Academy. As the business agent, it is your job to approve new facilitators. Is there any specific traits you're going to look for when you are looking for more facilitators?
Yes. Well, you're the first impression as a facilitator for new hires. And so professionalism has got to be, top of the list. Being a professional letter carrier is important because you're training the next generation of professional letter carriers. I take this job very serious. The uniform that we put on, the respect that we command in the office, on the working floor, and also on the street. It's we have to present that professionalism. So being professional to start, obviously you have to be able to speak and articulate, and share in a lively way your passion about the job. Passionate letter carriers is kind of like that part of that recipe you need. Loving the job. If you're down on it, it might not be a good fit. Your energy and enthusiasm would be contagious, and I would want that kind of personality to greet new people coming through the door.
All right. How do you balance enforcing the national agreement while respecting branch autonomy?
Let's see. Wow. Respecting branch autonomy. Well, I mean, yeah, I think everybody has their way of doing things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you just don't want to do your thing and be in conflict with the national agreement. So we really just we teach, we teach from the materials that's put out by headquarters, which is in line with the national agreement, so that we're not out of whack. I know we can't capture all of that. There's going to be some offices that do things their own way at the informal step, but once it comes to the formal step, then we'll apply the contract, and we'll do so evenly and equitably across the board. When there's situations we find where people have misapplied things at that earlier step, that's where the education piece comes in, and we'll do one-on-ones. We'll bring people down, and we use our union hall as a good space for learning. And there's usually people there till late evenings, either doing Article 8 training or even route adjustments. Like this evening, we had a route adjustment training. We had Bill Jackson come from the regional office and help us out. So,
all right. What is going to be your process in handling the grievance backlog for your region?
Yeah, well, most of that backlog belongs to Chicago. I mean, it's like I'm partly responsible for it to being where it is. I mean, we were aggressive grievance filing throughout the whole region. So the grievances are not going to slow down so long as management is violating the contract. And I expect that they may even pick up as more people are educated on what their rights are, and the grievances that we're leaving off the table not being filed, especially with the NERP violations. We need more resources. We must have more resources. We need more people at Step B, and we need to control our Step B teams. It's been something that I know Mike's been fighting to do for many years, because we're kind of fractured. We have some of our grievances going into in Wisconsin, some of our grievances going into Michigan, and it's not ideal. We really have a great need, so we've got to scale up our representatives at that step B especially. And arbitration, we've got to be aggressive. We've been brainstorming ideas, and there's some things we're going to start putting into place this coming year. We've got 8 arbitrators on the panel this time, so that's the most that we've had at least since I've been doing it. So we're going to be bringing cases to arbitration. I could see that there could be opportunities for global settlements for repetitive grievances that kind of like just all saying the same thing. We can look at where those similarities might be worth coming up with a global settlement. Not giving up anything. We're not giving away the store. We're going to get everything that we believe we're entitled to, and make sure we uphold the precedent that we've already obtained throughout this region in different installations. There's precedent. We're not going to lay down on any of that, but we need to increase our personnel, and we're going to continue to put pressure on the Postal Service until that happens.
Piggybacking off of that a little bit, have you seen that OIG report, right, with all the one that
Yes.
Mike posted?
Yep.
So people on the internet have been referring to the Chicago carriers that received those settlements. They're calling them the Chicago 8.
Yeah. I hadn't seen that, but I get that. Yeah. There's more than 8. I mean, that they probably couldn't put everybody printed in that book. It just exposes how terrible postal management has been towards our grievance handlers and towards our members. That's just constantly violating the contract. I mean, I know management tried to spin it another way, but they're only settled because they are actual grievances and they're actual violations, and those are the appropriate remedies. And it added up. It's going to continue to add up so long as they're not controlling what's happening on the workroom floor and violating our contract.
Yeah. Okay. What is your take and how will you push and impact the letter carrier political fund?
Letter carrier political fund is absolutely necessary. I'm very well aware can't use our union dues for lobbying Congress on the things that we need. And there's all kinds of constant ongoing fights that we have to be prepared to wage battle, and we need to do that with money. I mean, there's just no way around that. We support candidates who support the interests of letter carriers on both sides. You know, and it's nothing partisan here. So it's just about making sure the message is clear to people. There's been members in my branch that have expressed confusion about why we have a PAC. So kind of go into the history of the PAC, where we think started way back when we were collective begging and how we've evolved and got to collective bargaining, but still that there's a need to have that that political arm to wage those wars for us in the halls of Congress. I'm looking forward to when we finally get control of the dues checkoff, because I think that's going to help. A lot of the people have no problem giving, and they understand, but just that whole process is clunky. People fall off, and it's it's hard chasing people down sometimes to get them back in. So as soon as that takes off, I think that the PAC will be improved, and we'll have even more resources so we can wage those battles.
Okay. How do you plan to improve education, training, and mentorship across the region?
With technology, I'm a big fan of using technology as a tool. I've been like responsible for the IT in my branch. I just have like a general interest in it. I did take some classes a long time ago, but I just love absorbing the changes in technology, being an early adopter, jailbreaking iPhones, and that kind of thing interests me to no end. And so I spend hours and hours and hours. So I think we can use digital platforms to bring education to people where they're not already getting it, especially the membership. We give a lot of training to union stewards, grievance handlers, and that's great. We're never going to stop doing that. We're going to increase that. We're going to do that every opportunity. But we really need to also focus on giving that information and that training to the rank and file membership. Because that first step of the grievance process, I'm a firm believer they need to be as actively involved as the steward, confronting management on the things that management has done to make them feel aggrieved, and and knowing something about it. And I could see I could see us having a better tracking system that's useful across the state, keeping track of grievances, and then collaborating with other branches, the kind of grievances that they're filing. We can use each other's strengths, things that have worked. We just got to make sure that we have like open lines of communication. So I'm looking forward to figuring that out. I think we're already on our way. There's some great stuff that they've introduced to arbitration advocates. So we have a collaborative space, and that we learned about on Friday. I love that. It's using Microsoft products like SharePoint and Teams. So I mean that's easy at your fingertip ways to get information. And so yeah, technology is the main way.
All right. Will you retain or try to retain the current RAAs and RGAs?
Yeah, I mean, I love everybody that's in the office there. Tony, Bill, Margaret, of course, Rachel and Cheryl. There's a number of people who come in the office to cover when there's absences. CNQ of Downers Grove, Uriah. So yeah, I mean, there's a great thing going. the reason why I'm running for business agent is not because I want to supplant the current administration. It's a great thing. I want to carry the mantle. I mean, he's heading to run for the national presidency. That's why there's a vacancy. It's not because we're not running a good region. I think we're a model region, and if it ain't broke,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. How are you going to encourage a connection with newer hires?
I'm going to encourage a connection with newer hires. Besides the mentorship program, which I think we're struggling to find people who want to mentor. I think people are a little jaded right now. I think the fact that we're going to be doing these rallies is going to be helpful. I want to invite those new people out so that they can feel the energy of letter carriers coming together, unified, with our t-shirts on and our signs. I know in those environments, people are like, wow, this is awesome. The union is like really need a nice way to kind of transition people into what's so great about what we do in this job. And and then inviting people to convention. I think it's not that hard to get downstate. We're trying to always come up with new ways to get people to the branch meetings. At the same time, the point is to also bring them along to the state conventions. And I want to push that as much as possible. Short of incentivizing, but just sharing with people the awesomeness of when we come together and how great it really is. So,
yeah. How will you, as an NBA, deal with gatekeeping within branches?
How will I deal with it? There is a lot of that. There really is. This old school mentality, bumping up, just kind of, you put your time in, so you are promised a certain position. I seen, coming from Mac Julian's leadership at Branch 11, he was already kind of forward thinking, trying to break that mold. Looking at where people are for their contribution, with their talents, with their skills, and with their commitment. That's going to be paramount. So I'm going to be an encourager for these branches. Obviously, I'm going to be limited to what I can do as far as force things on the people. But we can talk through things. We can talk through issues, and where members reach out, I'm gonna hear them out wherever they are, whatever branch, and take those concerns to the branch leadership so that we can talk about it, and open up like we should.
All right. What is going to be your approach when a branch or an officer is struggling or failing to represent the members effectively?
When an officer is struggling or failing, what's going to be my approach? I think I've got to engage with them. I can't be hands off. It sometimes there's a reason. There's some of that's a symptom of a root cause. So I would want to try to get at that root cause. That might be harder than just saying it. Having good relationships in the beginning with branch officers is going to be part of my goal. Going to see them and meet with them, and be that resource for them for whatever they might need. Kind of opens the door to trust. So if there is an issue and there's a hard conversation that needs to happen, having it come from a place and a person that has built some trust, I think it'd go a long way to being open-minded and working through whatever issues or concerns. And we'll be able to get anybody any kind of help or training that they need. I mean, that's easy to do. The resources are here.
Awesome. Okay. So this you kind of answered already, so I'll skip to the next one.
Okay.
How do you plan to strengthen solidarity amongst the branches, like with each other?
Strengthen the solidarity with branches amongst each other. A good example is like this Formula A training that we put on. Initially, it was my branch and branch 4016. Branch 825 has got involved. I know there's other branches who've expressed interest. They have great grievance handlers that have gone through the training and are excelling in the grievance process. And so coming together in these training forums are great ways for us to network and collaborate. I think that's one way. Another way is I would say there's a number of times that we can get together throughout the year. I like that there's the Thursday call where it's like an open forum for people to talk about things. That's a great way to network. We'll have ways to get communication out through emails and through letters. It's there's a good structure in place to do that. Just I'll keep that going for sure.
Okay. What helps you to stay so zen or calm on the outside?
What helps? I have faith in God, and I'm on a spiritual journey even to this day with me and my wife. So we go into worship, we go into prayer, and I'm like I said, I'm called to do this. So I'm very happy, and I'm very blessed to continue to do in whatever capacity to help the members in this region and in this union wherever I'm serving. So that's the best answer I can give you on that.
Okay. How do you maintain transparency with members while handling sensitive issues?
Yeah, let's see. That's the name of the game. Especially coming from an OWCP background, so many sensitive issues, dealing with the letter carriers who were assaulted, and the way that's affected them, the traumas that come with it. The private conversations that between me and that member, they can trust that whatever they share in confidence will always stay between us. As we would take their issue to the grievance process, there's a way to get out what needs to get out, separating what people want to keep private, and I've learned how to do that. So it's sometimes it's a tightrope that you have to walk, because some of what is really affecting a person could be very influential in the turnout of a dispute, but without that person's trust and without that person's consent, then it will never make it into the grievance process.
Okay. What's your opinion of the NERP program and how to best guide branches to hold management accountable, taking into consideration the grievance backlog?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. We were one of the branches, branch 11, that were included in the pilot. We had a district manager come from Michigan 1, I think, where it began. And when he came to Illinois 1, he and Mac and Elise talked about bringing it to Chicago, and so we did. So I've had some experience with it quite a bit longer. There's more teeth, of course, in the NERP now that it's a part of the national agreement. I think it's a great thing, if it works, if it's being followed. So far, one of the most, I think one of the most beneficial things in it is the scheduling process and having a actual schedule so people know when they're going to be off, and making that a hard schedule instead of a soft schedule. It
Mhm.
doesn't work at all if management puts up a schedule and then they change it the next day and it's just some moving target. So we've done things to solidify the schedule by changing our bid process for hold downs, moving that to an earlier point in the week, so that when the schedule is made, they're doing that based on hold downs, ops that people have selected and been awarded, so that that can be where management has space to work on what non-scheduled day that people have. And but I expect there's going to be a lot of grievances. I expect there's going to be a lot of grievances. There's no way well, there is a way to avoid it, is if management really holds people accountable with that informal stuff. But I'm not counting on that to happen anytime soon. So the grievance process is where we're going to turn for that, and we're gonna have to be aggressive, and we may have escalating remedies because of it. I could see a remedy, potentially giving immunity to somebody who was unfairly treated during their evaluation process. I mean, um, I'm glad we do have something like that. It's a different age that we're in. Not you know not to say that there's anything wrong with people coming into the job today. Different way of thinking, and not wrong, but different. And coming along with that way of thinking and changing the way that they are acclimated to the job is good. It's going to be safer for them in the long run. Too much too soon is dangerous. It can create all kinds of problems. So I think the NERP in its core, and the concept is great.
Right. What separates a good NBA from an excellent NBA?
What separates a good NBA from an excellent NBA? Well, showing up every day, and not just going through the motions. An excellent NBA will get his hands dirty, or she will get their hands dirty. Will know grievance process inside and out, present cases at arbitration, carry mail, be as connected to the workroom floor as humanly possible. I think knowing all aspects of what the members are facing is how you make decisions that are going to affect those same members you represent. If you don't know, and if you're just reading about it or someone's telling you about it secondhand, then I think things get lost in translation. And you can do well, but to really excel, you've got to get your hands dirty. You've got to be out there. You've got to be close to the issues.
All right. So this you also kind of touched on, because it says, how will you accommodate and acknowledge the much smaller branches and their budgets while still being able to include them in training programs?
Yeah, I mean, it's like what we've been doing, bringing national level training locally with like the Leadership Academy. That's a great example. I mean, the Leadership Academy is at no cost to the branches, but having something here locally gets more people than what the Leadership Academy nationally can accommodate. So and it's a great program that we use. Same thing with Formal A. Formal A at the national level is quite expensive. It's much cheaper when we put something on here, and I think we do a fantastic job. There's the new stewards training that doesn't cost anybody anything, and that travels around wherever we need it to go. We're talking about that over the weekend at the president's meeting. If there's a branch with a need, then we will go to that branch, take it directly to them. Want to avoid people having to spend money unnecessarily. So we have a really good structure in place already.
Okay. All right.
I could say, I guess, while we wait for her to log in, just to like address an elephant in the room. I know people have concerns. I think, well, I'm assuming people have concerns that I'm coming from Branch 11, and that I've heard people say, well, Branch 11 is looking to try to control everything, and I want to, I guess, just try to assuage any kind of concerns as much as I can. Just hearing me, anybody who knows me outside of Branch 11 will know that I'm obviously loyal to my branch, but I make no mistake. I mean, branches large and small, they have they deserve the same equitable kind of access and attention, and I kind of already do that. I mean, I take calls from members across the region and even some outside of the region. I'll make time for whoever. I even got a call from somebody from the mail handlers union asking me questions. I help people with retirement, with disability retirement. That kind of got out somehow. And so my phone's been ringing on that. And, I'm not saying, hey, look, since you're not from my branch, I can't help you. That's crazy. I want to help any and every member, even if they're a member of a different union, if they're a postal worker. Man, we're all in this together. And like I said, that's part of my calling. I love that I have some experience and some ability that I can share with people, and I'd be a fool not to share that as broadly and as much as I can.
Yeah. There's definitely a stigma about Branch 11.
Yeah.
I know when I was in regional leadership, everybody was always like, you guys all have money. You guys all have money. And then like the people from Branch 11 are like, well, maybe you guys should file grievances.
Yeah, look, the things that I have learned that have been successful, that's part of what I'm coming to the table with. And, if there's little tweaks that some branches can do that they might not have thought about, then, I can help provide some of that guidance. And, rising tide lifts all boats, I've heard it said.
Yeah.
Can't hear you, Renee.
Oh, I'm still in my coat in my hat. Like I just.
Yeah, it's bad out there, right? The temperatures are going to drop, and I've already hit the walkways with the snowblower for twice, and now I know I got to do it a third time.
Yeah. I can't believe Renee just showed her face.
Trying to show you guys how serious it was that like I just ran in the house and jumped on my computer. What advice would you give to anyone looking to get involved? I guess like with the union, I think they're saying maybe.
Oh, sure. Start showing up to branch meetings. If you want to get involved, that's really where it starts. Come into the meetings. And I know most branches have their meetings during a weekday and an evening time frame. A lot of branches have virtual options so that people can join and listen in. And I know my branch does. I think so does 825. So start showing up to those meetings. That's really kind of where you start seeing how the union operates. And then, of course, there's all kinds of cool events where we get together and we have a good time. And those are fun. I'll plug our bowling event that we have coming up the day before President's Day. It's a Sunday. We do these kinds of things in every branch. So if you're a new member, start showing up, and soon you'll I think you'll be inspired to do more.
No, I was looking at this one because are you running on the slate? I don't think so, right? Because it says, "Are you still willing to be NBA even if the slate you're running on doesn't win at the higher levels?"
No. I'm not committed to a slate. That's not something I'm currently interested in. I don't know that there should be NBAs on slates. So it's kind of a different concept, right? All of the members are voting for all of the resident officers, and only the regional members are voting for the NBAs.
What is one issue in Region 3 that you believe has been mishandled in the past?
Let's see, an issue in Region 3 that has been mishandled. Well, that's a tough one. That is a really tough one. An issue that's been mishandled.
Just
I
let
think
you know that was one of my questions that I
that's one of
wrote
your
in there.
questions. Okay. All right. Another elephant. I'll say that the way that we did the state election, I think that people will agree. If you were there, no one knew what to do, and it would have been to our benefit to have clear understanding on how to run the election. And we didn't do that. We tried to figure it out in the moment. And I think if we had spent more time figuring that out ahead of time, it wouldn't have went over in that way. And I think left some people with some feelings about it that they're still working through.
Yeah, I agree.
That was a nice way to say it.
Will you go back to carry mail once a year like Mike does, or are you gonna do your own thing there? Or
no, I want to carry. I do. I really do. I have a float set in Lincolnwood, Edgebrook. I know who has my float set. She's full time now. She does not want to leave my float set. She is very concerned with me bumping her off of that. So my plan would be to try to work out something to where I can work and carry mail in another office potentially. I imagine that shouldn't be too difficult to arrange. But so that's kind of the only reason why I haven't thus far is coming back. I will displace this person who really enjoys working on that float set right now, and so yeah, I gotta find a workaround.
would you just go and bid on a crappy route like Mike does that no one wants, so you don't have to run into that issue?
Yeah, that was part of the mindset. But as soon as I bid off of that assignment, then someone else will bid on it, and that will also end that hold down. Yeah.
How long has she been on the hold down?
She's been on it for 3 years now. Yeah.
Okay.
And she's been reassigned to another office, and the moment that I come back, she has to leave that office. So I think if she then gets enough seniority and can bid back into my office on the citywide, the moment she leaves that flow set, then I'm coming back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I was just like, I don't know how you would get around not going to go do your own route. I mean, not unless you would, like, there's an office that's in need and, you went over there to go help out, but yeah, I wouldn't see how you'd get around it.
Yeah, I was thinking along those same lines. I remember where they were like soliciting people from everywhere to come when we had great shortages. I think coming out of COVID, there was people even traveling outside of their state to come and work. So if that kind of an option presents itself, that's a no-brainer. But I would like to do so like on a regular basis, you know. I kind of miss it, honestly.
What are your top 3 priorities in Region 3 as NBA?
Top 3 priorities: the grievance arbitration process. That's number one. Winning at arbitration, bringing those issues to that final step, and in the most beneficial way to get a win. Also, the education piece, ensuring that we've got education opportunities that span the entire state. Like me and Sarah were talking about, well, as I was talking from answering Sarah's questions, I want opportunities for rank and file people to get training too. And so training is that second piece. And I'd say, organizing. We hold a high percentage of members in this union, and but there's places to improve. I think we can do that.
Right.
Yeah, those are all the questions. But I want to say you do you form the classes now for training for the Formal 8, right? Or
I
you
do.
got something to do with that?
Yeah. I run the Formal 8 training annually, and I run it with Patrice O'Banner and Thaddeus Berryhill from 4016. Also Tyrone Valdez from my branch 11, and Melissa Rakestraw joined us last year, and Melissa Asham, and they're coming back this year. Great addition, and we're doing that the last week in February. We're still taking applications. If there are anyone that's listening to this call that is interested in the Formal A step, we go through the fundamentals, the basics. It's not that advanced Formal A. We do challenge you. You'll work on case files, actual case files, and learn how to present grievances at the formal step. It's a whole week long. We'll be at the UAW campus, which is in Ottawa. So we'll be there for the week, immersed in Formal A training. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I said their food is good over there.
Oh yeah, food's good. Food's
I was gonna
great.
say, I know last year there was a pretty big class. Do you guys have around the same amount of applicants, or is it less this year?
You know what? Every year, right at the deadline, we get just like a slew of applications, right? Every year. So right now we're running at about 14, which is kind of like in the realm of normal for approaching the deadline. The deadline is January 31st. Oftentimes Mike extends the deadline because there's a few people he taps on the shoulder. We have some new presidents in the region, and generally they are doing Formal A for the branches, so it's a good idea that they come, and they might need to be reminded and that the opportunity is here. But this time it's coming up a little quicker. We usually do it in March, and so I know for planning for branches, kind of trying to fit that in. There's a lot going on in the month of February, being that short month that it is. So, but yeah, we're at about 14 people right now. That's about 3/4 the size is what we had last year, but I do expect that number to grow before the end of the month, or right on the 31st.
Did you have anything else that you wanted to add in as far as with your platform, and anything else that you want to put out there?
Yeah, I mean, well, like I was telling Sarah, this is kind of awkward for me because I'm not the politician type. I'm just a people person. I want to meet as many people as I can that are going to make the decision on who's going to be the next NBA. So if there's anything that's happening across the state between now and the end of the year, please let me know. Invite me. I would love to come out and talk with the membership. and just share my personality rather than just put something out for everybody to read or this is great. I'm gonna do this as much as you'll all invite me. I really kind of do better with person to person, and so I want those opportunities wherever I can find them.
All right.
All right.
All right.
It wasn't so bad. You
Yeah.
very welcoming. So yeah.
Yeah, when I hopped on at the last minute, yeah, I went in and did what I could do.
Yeah. Well, I do appreciate the opportunity. I think it's a really great forum. It's for our region, and I know that there's a lot of listeners, and so I'm looking forward to hearing from them. I'm not on social media, so I'm not going to hear that way. I'm going to rely on you all. Maybe come back here if we do this again and have other people on. I'm game. Just let me know.
Yeah, and I mean, I would like to hear from, if other regions want to do something similar, if they have someone or multiple people running for NBA, if they would want to come on the show as well, too, to let us know their platform and maybe answer some questions from the people in their region. That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I got a couple people that come to mind. I'm going to call them afterwards, tell them, hey, don't be scared. Ain't nothing to be worried about.
Yeah.
It's a welcoming, comfortable place. I
have one last question for you.
Okay.
Did you get an invite to any Branch 825 meetings yet?
Not to a meeting, but kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But not for that purpose, not for campaigning purposes. But I plan to come to you all's installation.
Oh, Thursday, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if that counts.
No.
All right, then we'll see you Thursday.
I'll see you all Thursday.